There are these well-known verses in Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 that most of us know, which goes something like, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, with all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. But what flows next is sometimes a little bit lesser known, and this comes from the Passion Translation, and it says, do not think for a minute that you know it all, for wisdom comes when you worship him with undivided devotion. Now, we know that wisdom is not necessarily facts or knowledge about a situation, that wisdom is the ability to see from heavenly perspective in a way that actually releases skill into the way that I navigate life and releases divine solutions into problems or struggles that I'm facing. Now, one of the ways that we can acknowledge God in everything that we do is to recognize that we always don't see with the perspective that he sees. Often our judgment or our thinking is clouded by intense emotions that we're having. Our judgment can get clouded by any need that I have that's not getting met, like the need for connection or belonging. And our judgment can get clouded from wounds that we have in our past. And it all stops us from being able to see clearly with heavenly perspective into a situation. And so sometimes we don't even realize that the way that we're thinking is not wisdom, especially when we're wrestling through some really challenging situations. And so wisdom comes when we adore him with undivided devotion. Why? Well, when we step into adoration, when we step into worship, it's actually an act of stepping outside of our circumstances. We lay down what is going on in life right now, and we start reminding ourselves of things that God has done. And as we remind ourselves of things that he's done, it begins to stir up our remembrance of what he is like. And our faith begins to rise, and our trust begins to get reestablished in the nature and character of God. So things like we go into places where you were faithful before and you'll be faithful now. You have been good and you are good. You were with me and you still are with me. You will never leave me. You will never forsake me. And as I do that, it creates the ability to suddenly see clearly, and it creates the capacity for me to hear from heaven, because there's no longer all these emotions that are screaming and making noise in my mind. So I just encourage you, if you are seeking wisdom, step into worship.